Hello students, welcome to my channel Parina Jain Tutorials. So this is the video on chapter 6 life processes part 2 on nutrition. So in the previous video we have discussed the types of nutrition, that there are two types of nutrition. First is autotrophs and the second one is heterotrophs. So first we have done autotrophs, that is the green plants are autotrophs because they prepare their own food from the inorganic material like carbon dioxide, water, light and chlorophyll. So by this they synthesize their food. Heterotrophs are those organisms which depend on plants or other animals for their food. So they obtain their energy by the help of other organisms. So this is the heterotrophic nutrition. In this video I am going to explain you in detail about heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Then the types of heterotrophic nutrition. The first one is holozoic nutrition. Second is saprophytic nutrition. Third is parasitic nutrition. Holozoic nutrition means taking the food directly into the mouth. Means we are ingesting the solid matter into the mouth. The food is getting into the body through the mouth. Like here the tiger, we see that it is taking the food into the mouth and then it will digest it and then it will get absorbed. So this is the holozoic nutrition. Means we first ingest the food into the mouth. We take the food into the body through our mouth. That is what holozoic nutrition. In this category we have human beings, we have animals you could see like these mammals mainly we can say that they are the holozoic nutrition. Then insectivorous plants are also the example of holozoic nutrition. Insectivorous plants are the plants which eat insects, so they engulf the insects for the proteins. Then saprophytic nutrition are the organisms. These organisms are known as saprophytes, and these organisms are those which do not ingest the food. In fact, they take inside the body the digested food. They digest the food first and then they take in into the body. So that is what saprophytic nutrition. For example, mushroom. So mushroom we know grows in the marshy area. In marshy area there is dead plants and animals, so they absorb that dead organic matter and then they absorb in the body and then they utilize for the energy. That means they are taking inside the digested food. They are digesting the food outside the body. So that is what saprophytic nutrition. In this category we include, after mushroom, bacteria and fungi. They are also like fungi. We see the bread mold on the bread. Sometimes when we put the bread in the damp area, so we see these kind of mold or fungi on the bread, the greenish part. So they digest the food externally before getting the nutrients from the food. So first of all they digest the food out externally and then they absorb the food into the body. Then parasitic nutrition. These organisms live on the body or inside the body of organisms from which they obtain the food. These organisms also obtain digested food. For example, the tapeworm. The tapeworm is found in our small intestine. Tapeworm, hookworm, these organisms are found in our small intestine. So these organisms obtain the digested food. Lice is also the example. The lice is found on our hairs, so they obtain the digested food from our head. Then mosquito could also be the example of parasites. They sit on our body and they suck our blood. So from the blood they are getting the digested food. So these are the parasitic nutrition. Parasites, the organism name will be parasites. These flea, these lice, these tapeworm. So these are all parasites because they obtain the food from the organism and they obtain the digested food by sitting on the organism or by entering into the organism. So these are the types of heterotrophs. Then next, now let's recapitulate that what is nutrition. The nutrition is the process of utilizing the food by an animal to obtain energy and growth. We know that food we take, that is for utilizing it for energy, for growth and for repair. So this is what called nutrition process. Food we take in the body for getting energy, for growth and for repair. Then what are nutrients? the nutrients which we get from the food. They are carbohydrate, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, fiber, water. These are all our nutrients which we get from the food, because by these nutrients only we get energy, growth, or repair in our body. Now, what are the steps of nutrition? The first step is ingestion. The second is digestion. The third is absorption. The fourth is assimilation. And the fifth one is egestion. So these are the 5 steps of nutrition. So let's discuss them one by one in detail. So first one is ingestion. Ingestion means taking up the food inside the body is called ingestion. So like we have discussed just now, Holozoic type of nutrition, like I have explained to you, that in ingestion, when we take the food into the mouth, when we take the food into the body through the mouth, that is called Holozoic type of nutrition. So we have different kind of ingestion methods, like bees and hummingbirds. They suck nectar from plants, and they suck nectar from the proboscis. These are also called feeding tube. Then ruminants means the grass eating animals like cow, buffalo, goat. These are ruminants because they have rumen inside their stomach. So they have holozoic nutrition because they take the food through their mouth. Then frog have long sticky tongue, amoeba have pseudopodia, hydra have tentacles. I've shown you through the pictures. Like you could see here, proboscis. This is the feeding tube. Proboscis on the butterfly. Proboscis. Then frog have long sticky tongue by which it ingests the prey. Then amoeba have a pseudopodia. This kind of impression is false leg like they move with a false leg. Pseudo means false. So this is what called pseudopodia. Through the pseudopodia they ingest the food, they take the food inside the body. Then ruminants means the cow. So they have rumen in their stomach. You could see here the rumen. So this is the rumen which helps in the digestion of cellulose, because they are the grass eating elements, and these grass have lot of cellulose which is difficult to digest. That is why we human beings can't eat grass directly. So that is why these organisms have rumen in their stomach, and that is why they are named to be ruminants. So they take the food through their mouth. That is why they have holozoic nutrition. Then hydra have tentacles. Through tentacles, these are the tentacles. Through these tentacles, they entangle their prey, and these prey get stuck into their tentacles. Then this is the starfish, which is having a very rare type of nutrition. What this starfish do, it basically feeds on the mollusk. The mollusk are having the shell on their body. So this shell is made up of calcium carbonate, which is difficult to digest, which is difficult to eat. So that is why what they do, they don't eat this shell, they eat the rest of the body, rest of the part, which is very spongy, which is very soft. So what it do for engulfing this this mollusk, it pops out its stomach. This is the stomach, you could see. It pops out from their body, this stomach, and this stomach then digests that rest of the body, and then it takes that stomach along with the food into their body. So this is what a starfish is having. Similar type of digestion the spider also do. Spider entangle its prey into their web, and they digest that prey then and there at the web, and then that digested food it engulf into their body. So after ingestion, the second step is digestion. So what does digestion means? Digestion means breaking down of complex food molecules into simpler molecules. Simpler molecules means for example, we have a long chain of molecules in which we have so many molecules in this chain. Now this large chain is difficult to absorb by the body, because in our body there are, in the blood vessels, for example, if this is a vessel, there are very tiny holes. Through these tiny holes, can you imagine this whole chain could be absorbed? No, this whole chain could not be absorbed. So what is required now is that this chain is to be broken down. So this chain, when broken down into smaller molecules, like these smaller tiny molecules, now these molecules will be easily absorbed by these tiny holes. So that is why these larger chain of molecules need to be break down, and this breaking down is called digestion process. So now we have understood about digestion. Now how does this digestion takes place? For this digestion, the food has to go through the following organs. First, the food enters into mouth, then into the esophagus. Esophagus is known as the food pipe. Then the food enters into the food pipe. Then after food pipe, it enters into stomach, then small intestine, then large intestine, and then it is removed out of the body through rectum and anus. So let's understand. Now let's understand with this diagram what happens in digestion. Like food enters into first mouth. First of all, the food enters into this mouth, then through the mouth it enters into this esophagus, which is known as food pipe. Then from the food pipe it enters into the stomach. Here some digestive juices released in the stomach, so digestion takes place in this stomach as well. Then the food enters into this duct. This is known as duodenum. In this duct, the secretions from liver and pancreas are released. Now what is secretions? Secretions means the juices which is prepared by the liver and pancreas. So the juices which is the liver has prepared, that is bile juice, and the pancreas has prepared, that has been released into this duodenum, here in this. So further the digestion takes place here in this duodenum. Then after that, the food enters in this small intestine. You could see here it is so much coiled. Then from the small intestine it enters into the large intestine. From this large intestine it pass on this whole large intestine. This is called colon. From this colon it then ejected out from the rectum and anus. Ejection means removing the waste from the body. That is what called ejection or ejection. Then now let's understand that what happens, how the digestion takes place in all these parts. Before that, you could see here this flow chart. This is what called the alimentary tract or the digestive tract. So this tract basically explains you that food first enters into mouth, then it enters into esophagus, then stomach, then small intestine. So these are the all organs which are involved in the digestion process. That is why this whole pathway is known as digestive tract. Then after that, now let's understand the digestion in humans. So first of all, we know that food enters into mouth. The first digestion takes place in the mouth. But before the digestion, what happens? First we chew the food. So while chewing, what we do basically, we break down the food mechanically into small pieces. So breaking down the food into small pieces, this is not called digestion. This is called mastication. When we cut down the food into smaller pieces, that is called mastication, and that is done with the help of teeth. So we have 4 sets of teeth: incisors, canine, premolars and molars. We know that incisors are the front teeth by which we do cutting and biting. Then canines are the next ones to the incisors. They are basically helps in the tearing of teeth. Then premolars and molars are the backside, which is broader in shape. They are not very much sharp, they are broader like this, and they help in grinding and crushing. Here you could see we have total 32 sets of teeth. 32 teeth in total, together meaning upper jaw and lower jaw. So upper jaw we have 16 teeth, and lower jaw we have 16 teeth. So together we have 32 teeth. So incisors are together 8 in number. Then canines are 4 in number, 2 in upper jaw, 2 in lower jaw. Premolars are 8 in numbers, 4 in upper jaw, 4 in lower jaw. Then molars are 12 in number, 6 and 6. And their functions are also given here. So you could draw this table in your notebooks to understand them. Then next is, now let's come to the digestion. After mastication, digestion takes place. So how does the digestion takes place? After chewing the food get mixed with the saliva. So this saliva is released from the salivary glands. We have salivary glands in our mouth. So these salivary glands, they contains enzymes. Now what is enzymes? They are the biological catalyst. I have explained you the catalyst in the previous video. The catalyst means which enhances the speed of the reaction. And what process is going on here? Here the process is going on that breaking down the chain of molecules. So that breaking down process will get enhanced with the help of these enzymes because they are the catalyst here. So which enzyme is present in the saliva? In saliva, amylase is the name of the enzyme. Always when you see the name of the enzymes, there is always the names will end with the ase. So ase, the name when they end with the ase, that is always the name of the enzymes. Not always, but mostly we see the name of in the name of the enzymes they end with the ase. Then amylase, what is the function of amylase here? Which type of digestion takes place? In the mouth, the first digestion, that is of starch, takes place. So starch breaks down into sugar molecules. Which sugar? Here maltose sugar is formed. So starch breaks down into maltose sugar. So function of amylase enzyme, which is present in the saliva, is to break down the starch into maltose sugar. Now let's understand where does this salivary glands are present. So here you could see in the diagram that these are the salivary glands. So this is the first gland. Three glands we have in total. So first one is parotid gland. The second one is this sublingual gland. And the third one is submandibular gland. And with this gland, you could see here the thin pipe. This pipe is known as the duct. Through this duct, they release the saliva into the mouth. Okay, here the duct, now you could understand the duct means very small, tiny, thin pipes in our body. These are called duct. So through this duct, they release their liquid, their saliva into the mouth, and this saliva is then mixed with the food with the help of tongue. This is very important here, saliva function, because saliva contains the salivary enzyme which is called amylase, and amylase helps in the breakdown of starch molecules into sugar molecules. Here you could see. Then next, the function of tongue. What is the function of tongue? To taste the food, to mix the food with the saliva, to swallow the food. When the food will get softened up with the help of a saliva, then it will be easily swallowed. Then it also helps in the speaking. Now next, after mouth, the food enters into the food pipe, which is also known as esophagus. So what happens in the esophagus? The food is not simply pushed down into the stomach. It also, because this is a muscular, this esophagus is made up of muscles. So how this muscle is able to push down the food? So this food is being pushed down with the help of a process called peristalsis. What is this peristalsis? When the food is need to be pushed down, these muscles do contraction and relaxation. Here you could see the muscle get contracted. Here you could see the point where the muscle get relaxed. Here also again the muscle get contracted, and next to the contraction here is the relaxation. By this contraction and relaxation, there is a wave-like motion of a food pipe. This wave-like motion of a food pipe, and this wave-like motion of a food pipe is known as peristalsis. By this wave-like motion only, by this contraction and relaxation only, the food is get pushed down into the stomach. Then after this peristalsis, when the food enters into the stomach, you could see here the stomach is a muscular bag of J-shaped bag is this, and the one opening is being attached with the esophagus, the other opening is being attached with the small intestine, and this region is known as the duodenum. Now the second digestion takes place in the stomach. So we have seen the first digestion takes place in the mouth, the second digestion takes place in the stomach. The stomach releases three juices, the three things it releases in the digestive juice, that is or we also known as gastric juice. This is also known as the juice which is prepared by the stomach is also known as gastric juice. Then this gastric juice contains hydrochloric acid, digestive juice means pepsin, and the mucus. What is the function of hydrochloric acid? It kills bacteria present in the food, first function, and second, it provides acidic medium. This is the second function of hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid function is asked in the exams many a time, so it's very important, the function of hydrochloric acid. Second important question is pepsin. In the question we see most of the time the function of pepsin. So what is a pepsin? Pepsin is again the enzyme which is present in the digestive juice of stomach, and it basically acts on the proteins. So protein molecules get broken down into smaller molecules. So you could see here in this picture the protein molecules is very big and very complex, and with the action of this pepsin enzyme it breaks down into smaller and smaller molecules. Then the next function is of mucus. Now when hydrochloric acid, which is very acidic, its pH is around 1.5. So this much acidic acid when released in our stomach, so it must affect our inner lining of the stomach. This is the inner lining, so it must affect our inner lining. So this inner lining is been protected by the mucus. Mucus is a paste like structure which makes a lining on the stomach, because of which the stomach gets it's not been affected by the acid, or our stomach is been protected by the acid. So this is the function of the mucus. HCl, which kills bacteria present in the food and provides acidic medium. Now why this acidic medium is important? Because this pepsin enzyme, this get activated only in the acidic medium. That is why this acid is important. It kills bacteria, that is okay, but secondly it provides acidic medium. So this acidic medium is required for the pepsin enzyme to generate and to be activated. Then only it acts on the proteins, and these proteins will break down into smaller molecules. So this is how the digestion in stomach takes place. Then after digestion in stomach, it comes the chance of small intestine. So what happens in the small intestine? I've just explained you that this is the stomach. From the stomach, when food enters into this region, this is the duodenum part. In this part, it receives the secretion from the liver and from the pancreas. So in this part, what happens when it receives the juices from the liver, the juice is called bile juice. This bile juice, basically this digests the fats. It converts the fat molecules into smaller molecules. And the function of the pancreas is to release its secretion. So the secretion, it contains pancreatic juice. So this pancreatic juice is having a pancreatic enzymes. This enzyme's name is trypsin and lipase. So trypsin basically acts on proteins. This proteins converts into peptones with the help of trypsin, and the fats get converted into glycerol and fatty acids with the help of lipase. So these lipase and this trypsin is present in the pancreatic juice, which is released from the pancreas, and this liver prepares the bile juice, which gets stored in this gallbladder. This is the gallbladder. This greenish portion is the gallbladder. So this gallbladder, it basically stores the bile juice, and when it is required, when the food comes here in this region, then this gallbladder releases the bile juice. And the bile juice function is to digest fats. Now when the food reaches finally to the small intestine, so here you could see the parts of the small intestine. This is, I told you that this is the duodenum. From the enters into this duodenum. This duodenum, this is the second part, and then it reaches to the next part, the downwards, this is the ileum. So small intestine is divided into three parts, that is duodenum, duodenum and ileum, and this is about 7.5 meters long, which is the longest part of our body. Now what happens in small intestine? In the small intestine, it releases the intestinal juice, which contains intestinal enzymes. These enzymes finally digest the food into smallest molecules. Now, in the first digestion, we have digestion of carbohydrates, that is starch has converted into maltose sugar. So that maltose now converted into glucose in this part. Then fats have converted into smaller molecules by the act of bile juice and lipase. So this now further digest into fatty acids and glycerols, which is the smaller molecules or the smallest molecules of fats. Then proteins have converted into peptones, that has converted into peptones. Then further the trypsin enzymes act on this. It converted peptones into smaller molecules, and then finally now it converts into amino acids. So these are glucose, fatty acids, glycerols and amino acids. These are the smallest molecules. You could understand here in the first step we were having a small chain of molecules. So first that small chain have converted down, have shortened up down or break down into smaller molecules, smaller pieces of chain. Like this is we are having a smaller molecules of chain. Now in the second step they have further digested down into smaller molecules. Then in the third step they have converted finally into individual molecules. Now these individual molecules are been easy for the blood to absorb, because the blood vessels have very tiny pores. From these tiny pores only these smaller molecules could only be absorbed, not these longer chains. So that is why these longer chain of molecules need to be digested. Vitamins and minerals, remember this thing, vitamins and minerals can be absorbed directly into the blood. They are already present in their smallest molecules, so they need not to be digested. We need to be digested only carbohydrate, fats and proteins. Now after digestion the third step comes about. The third process is absorption. So in absorption what happens, how does the absorption happens? The absorption takes place in the ileum part of the ileum. We have done ileum in the small intestine. So in the ileum the absorption process done. So in the duodenum the final digestion takes place, and in the ileum the absorption takes place. So in the ileum we have these finger like projections, and these finger like projections are known to be villi. What is the function of villi? They are connected with the blood vessels, so they absorb the digested food. The food is now been digested, so these digested molecules can be easily absorbed by these blood with the help of these villi, and these villi basically increases the surface area. So by this they can act upon the whole digested food properly, nicely, so that maximum absorption could take place. So this is the function of the villi. Now after the food when enters into the blood then transport this food to the whole body cells, and this body cells they utilize this food for energy, for growth and for repair. So this process is known as assimilation. So blood basically it transport the absorbed food to the whole body parts, to the from top to bottom, from head to toe, all the body parts, to each and every cells. This absorbed food means the glucose, the amino acids and the fatty acids. So all these absorbed components are being transported with the help of blood to the cells, and the cells then utilize them for energy, for growth and for repair. Now what happens to the unabsorbed food? So that unabsorbed food is been removed out of the body. So how it has been removed? It first pass on from the small intestine to the large intestine. In the large intestine the absorption of water and salts takes place first. Whatever the water and salts are available to the unabsorbed food, first of all the body absorbs all that water and salts, because that water and salts is required for the body. Then that rest of the unabsorbed food is known now stool. So that unabsorbed food, which is now stool, is first stored in the rectum part and then removed out of the body through anus, and this whole process is known as egestion. Anticipating a food, glands in our mouth starts releasing saliva. In one day, our mouth produces 1.5 liters of saliva. Once food enters our mouth, chewing combines the food with saliva and turns the food into a moist lump called bolus. The enzyme present in the mouth breaks down the starch present into the food into smaller molecules. Then it is swallowed into 25 centimeter long esophagus, which takes the food to the stomach. The esophagus sends the bolus and triggers peristalsis, which is a muscular contraction and propels the food to reach the stomach. There the food breaks down into pieces with the release of digestive juices. The digestive juices breaks down the proteins with the help of pepsin enzyme. HCl provides acidic medium and mucus protects the inner lining of stomach from HCl. At this stage, pancreas, liver, gallbladder prepare their digestive juices and bile, a yellowish digestive liquid which digests fats, get prepared. After 3 hours in the stomach, the bolus is now turned into a liquid which is a chyme, which passed into small intestine. The liver releases bile from the gallbladder and pancreas the pancreatic juice into duodenum. Here the fats break down into smaller pieces so that it can be easily digested by the intestinal juice. These intestinal juices breaks down fats into fatty acids and glycerol so that they can be easily absorbed by the body. The juices also break down proteins into amino acids and carbohydrates into glucose. It happens in duodenum. In ileum, the absorption takes place with the help of tiny projections called villi, which increases the surface area and leads to absorption in the blood vessels. The blood absorbs the finally digested molecules and transfer them to the whole body cells. The leftover fiber, water, and dead cells are passed on to the large intestine, which also known as a colon. In colon, the water is absorbed from the undigested food, which is now called as stool. This stool squeezes into the rectum and generates sensitive pain and tells the body when it is time to expel the waste. The waste is then removed through anus. Now in these slides we'll see the brief overview of the all processes what we have just discussed, that mouth takes the whole food in the body, then teeth chew the food, tongue roll the food and taste the food, and also mix the food with the saliva. The saliva is released from the salivary glands, and the saliva basically do the digestion of starch into maltose sugar. Then the food taken into the esophagus. In esophagus, with the process of peristalsis, the food is being passed on to the stomach. In stomach, it releases gastric juice. In the gastric juice contains all these three components: pepsin enzyme, hydrochloric acid, mucus, and their functions are also there. Then in the small intestine, the small intestines does the digestion of carbohydrate, fats, proteins. All three of them is being digested by the small intestine juice. Then the small intestine has villi which helps in the absorption, and before reaching to the small intestine receives the secretions from liver and pancreas. Liver secrete bile juice, which basically digest large fat globules into smaller fat globules, and pancreas releases pancreatic juice, which has two enzymes, trypsin and pepsin, trypsin and lipase. Trypsin acts on proteins and lipase acts on glycerol. So this is a brief overview to understand the whole process and to keep it remember. Then the next is nutrition in amoeba. Amoeba is what? Amoeba is a unicellular organism. So the 5 process which of nutrition which we have understood in human body, the same process, the same steps takes place in amoeba or any other individual, any other living organism. If we talk of plants, so in plants also all these steps, all these processes take place. So let's understand about amoeba. In amoeba, the first process takes place ingestion. This ingestion takes place with the help of a pseudopodia. So I've told you pseudo means false. So this false feet, it's like a feet. You could see here the structure. This is like a feet. So this pseudopodia also helps in moving the amoeba from one place to another, and it also helps in taking the food into the body. So like this cavity, like this kind of cavity, it takes the food into the body. So here in this process, you see the step 2, it has taken the food into the body. Now after taking the food into the body, it releases digestive juices. It releases digestive juices, and this here this cavity, this hole, this vacuole is known as a food vacuole. This is known as a food vacuole. So this food vacuole, inside this food vacuole, it releases the digestive juices. This digestive juices helps in the digestion process. After digestion, the third process is absorption. Then this digested food is being absorbed by the whole body, and this digested food is then circulated, and then it is utilized by it is utilized for growth, for energy, and for repair. Then the rest of the food is removed out of the body. So amoeba, which is a single cell, all these processes is performed by a single cell only. In our body, in complex bodies or in multicellular organism, for conducting all these activities, all these processes, we have different organs. Like digestion takes place in stomach, in small intestine, in mouth, and then it has been passed on. Then absorption takes place, then it has been circulated through blood, then the whole body cells helps in the assimilation, and then it is removed out of the body. So many organs and cells are participating in our body. But in amoeba, which is a single cell or individual, so that organism is performing all the activities, all these 5 steps by its single cell. So this is, whether a body is single celled or a multicellular, all these 5 steps of nutrition is being performed by every living organism. Now here I've given you some questions. So after understanding this whole video, you have to do all these questions. I hope you will be able to do these questions very easily. If you have any question regarding this digestion or anything, you could